What's up, my friends? This is Jake here with Pantry Prep, and today I'm super excited to review this Lion Energy Summit solar generator. It's rated at 665 watt hours and has 530 watts that it's able to invert in pure sine wave form. Pretty impressive, but the most impressive part about this solar generator to me is the price point. For only $579, I was able to pick this puppy up at Costco, and it came with this pack of solar panels. Now, I find that super exciting because I've been very interested in getting myself one of these solar generators, but I figured it's not worth it unless I can get some panels with it, and it seemed to be just too much of a price for me to justify. Looking at the Jackeries and EcoFlows, to get something comparable to this, I'm looking at double, if not even triple the price. So having this offering from Costco, I was super excited. I needed to pick it up and give it a try, and now I'm gonna share with you just how well it works. You know, at half or a third the price point, I'm always a little bit hesitant to how well they're gonna be able to keep up with those big name rivals. But today we're gonna put that to the test. This weekend we have triple digit temperatures that we gotta fight against. And what I wanna do is I wanna run this little portable freezer off of this solar generator. See if I can keep it powered up all weekend, keeping crunchy ice and popsicles for us. Now what I'm trying to simulate is like a camping experience or a day at the park where you're dealing with intense heat. You want to bring some frozen stuff with you and keep it frozen so, you know, maybe the kids can have popsicles after the soccer game or whatever. But I want to see how it does over a much longer period of time than, say, their 2 or 3 hour soccer game. More like a 2 or 3 day camping excursion. So you see we currently have it set up. We've got the solar panels which will direct towards the sun to see just how many watts we can get input off of these panels during the day. Just how well this battery is able to maintain the energy needed to run this mini freezer, even overnight. Overnight, it's not gonna have any solar input to keep this thing running, so these solar panels theoretically need to be producing about twice as much power as this freezer is demanding because it's gonna have to power it at night as well. So we're gonna put it to the test and see how it does over this 48-hour period in intense heat, see how well that battery is able to maintain, and potentially see if it can run this type of mini freezer in perpetuity. If it's able to build up power about as quickly as it's using the power, then that would be super exciting for me, knowing that I can run this mini freezer as long as I have sun. All right, let's put it to the test. All right, so we're starting this test at 1 o'clock. It's 100 degrees out, but we got a full battery. We're pulling in quite a few more watts than we're using, so I think we're gonna maintain that 100% battery charge through the rest of the day, but it's 5 o'clock. Still got 100% charge, still pulling in more than we're using. Come back a few hours later, 7 o'clock, and we're not pulling any watts in. Must be something wrong with the panel, so I unplug the input, plug it back in, and let's see what type of reading we're getting now. After plugging it back in, we're still only at about 22 watts, so let's take a look at the panel. Get that adjusted, aim it directly at the sun, see if we can get some more watts in. Now it's 7 o'clock in the evening at this point, so we're not gonna get a ton, but 35, producing almost as much as we're using. 9 o'clock, we're getting 0 watts in, and it's still 95 degrees, so this cooler is gonna be pulling a lot of power. All right, we're at 81% at 10 o'clock. Going into the evening, still 89 degrees. Day 2, we come back at 49% on the battery. Not too bad overnight. A couple hours later, we're at 42%. Hasn't had a chance to recharge quite yet, but we come back at 11 o'clock. Now we're getting quite a few more watts in, and that battery's having a chance to catch up. We're now at 78%, but need to get those panels adjusted. They're not aimed anywhere near the sun right now, so that's one thing to keep on top of when you got these solar generators. You have to make sure that those panels are aimed at the sun if you're wanting to get as many watts as possible. All right, 4 o'clock, we're getting 85 watts in and a 78% charge. Nice. All the way up to 83% at 5 o'clock. It's probably about as high as we're gonna get today. Yeah, we're at 79% now. Still getting some watts, but still using more than we're producing. Going into the evening, we're not getting any power, but we're at 74% battery. Now we come back the next day. Let's see what our battery's down to. 36% is what we're at overnight. Come back a few hours later, we got the sun up, so we should be getting some charge, but looks like we're not. Must be an issue with that connection again. So just pulling it out, plugging it back in. Great, now we're getting some watts. Now as far as our battery goes, still looking at 53% power. It's producing quite a bit more than it's using. So it looks to me like we could potentially run this little freezer in perpetuity, that the solar panels are producing enough power to keep this mini freezer running every day, all night, keep it going until the next day when it's able to get more sunlight to produce more power. Impressive. All right, now for the moment of truth. Crunchy ice, still crunchy. Popsicles. Still frozen. That is all I can ask for. If I can enjoy popsicles while also enjoying the great outdoors, it's well worth the money. All right, our Summit solar generator passed our endurance test, was able to run 2 full days in intense heat and keep the freezer frozen. But now let's test what it can run in the short term. Now I mentioned some numbers at the beginning of the video. The 530 watt pure sine wave is how much power this is able to send out at a given time. And then it has a 665 watt hour capacity. Now what does that really mean? Giga hooga whata? What do these terms even relate to as far as usability? Now I've always been one that likes to learn through trial and error, not really one that likes to crunch the numbers and figure out exactly what this is going to support. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in a bunch of various electronics that you might want to use in a camping scenario to see exactly what this can run and what it can't. All right, let's go. Now, first I want to show you how well it powers all these small electronics. Like I mentioned, it has pure sine wave technology, meaning it provides a stable wave that won't damage the batteries on some of these more sensitive electronics. But I got my laptop plugged in, I got headphones, a headlamp, my drone remote control, and a portable light. All of these plugged in at the same time, and we are currently running 80 watts out of this thing. Now, like I said, this has a 530 watt capacity, so I could essentially be running 5-6 times the amount of power out of this thing that I currently am without overloading the system. One of the favorite features that I noticed about this thing is how it tells you exactly how much time there is left on this battery at its given load. If we look over on the panel and look to the right, we see this 3 hours and 34 minutes till empty. That is how long it's able to send out 80 watts at its given battery capacity, 50%. So theoretically, we could run all this stuff on a full battery for 7 hours, double the time that it's currently showing. Pretty impressive. Now, I didn't really have any doubt that this solar generator was going to be able to handle all those small electronics, even multiple at the same time. But something that I am really curious of is if it can handle work batteries. We have a property up in the mountains that we're doing various projects at any given time, whether it's building new structures or taking down trees. So being able to recharge these batteries without having to go back to the cabin would be a huge benefit for me. So let's see how well it's able to recharge my Milwaukee battery. Looks like we're pulling, oh, still climbing, 65. Where are you gonna finish out? 67 watts is what this battery is currently pulling out. And as far as time to empty, looks like I can do this for about 4.5 more hours before I'm out of battery. Looks like it handles the Milwaukee just fine, but let's see if it can charge my Atlas battery. It's 40 volt, this is the one that I use on my chainsaw. This would be the most helpful because my chainsaw batteries only last so long. That thing takes a lot of power to keep going. And having to go back and recharge that sure does waste a lot of the time that I have during the weekends to do these projects. So if this can recharge my chainsaw batteries for me without having to go back to the cabin, that's a huge added value. All right, looks like it's running both of these chargers, no problem. We are still well below our capacity. Even with both of these chargers running, we're at 278, 283, 282 is what it leveled out at. So I can run both of these chargers for an hour, even on a half battery. If I had a full battery, do the math, I got 2 hours All right, our Summit solar generator passed this test with flying colors. Let's move on to actual power tools. First, we're gonna try this circular saw, which draws quite a bit of power. I'd be super surprised if this solar generator is able to power this circular saw, but let's see. You know what? It did actually kick off the inverter. It overloaded it, but not before I was able to finish my cut. So I wouldn't recommend running the circular saw on it. It's obviously gonna kill the inverter, but it's interesting to know that it can, at least for a second. Let's keep those. Now for our second power tool, let's see if this can handle a belt sander. The belt sander killed it too. It was able to keep it running when it didn't have any load. It was running about 450, 500 watts. But as soon as I put it down on the wood and it got to work, it overloaded it and killed it. So not gonna trust this to run my power tools, but I do know that it can charge my batteries. So any battery power tool I can use remotely. I'll just use this to charge up the battery. All right, a few more things we might want to use while camping. Let's see if we can pump up our air mattress. That seems pretty important to me, that I'd be able to get my air mattress inflated. I doubt that this is gonna take too much of a load on the system, but I really don't know how much power compressors pull. So let's put this to the test. All right, we got the air mattress compressor running and it's only pulling 47 watts. So it looks like I can run this compressor all day. And even when we get towards the end where there's some resistance on the compressor, I can only imagine it double, maybe tripling the output. So this is gonna have no problem staying below that 530 watt limit. Now let's deflate. Let's see how it handles resistance. 47 watts, it's almost out of air to pull. Still pulling 47. All right, it passes the air mattress test. Now for my wife to stay comfortable on camping trips, we gotta bring some extra electronics that I never had to think about in the past. If we're gonna be out multiple days and play in water, we're definitely gonna need a hair dryer, especially if I plan on going anywhere after playing in the water. So let's see if this is able to power a hair dryer. I'm pretty doubtful because generating heat is fairly inefficient electrically. So let's see. So I got it on medium heat and on low fan. We're currently pulling 345 watts. Now if I turn it to high fan, we kill it. Got up to 550 before the inverter kicked off. So looks like we can use the blow dryer on low fan and medium heat, but we definitely can't put it on high heat or high fan. But at least it works. All right, now for some cooking electronics. Some of you might be pretty new to camping and want to be able to make some chicken nuggets in the air fryer. So let's see if this can run my Instapot. We use this thing all the time at home. In fact, we've forgotten how to use most of the rest of our kitchen because this does most everything. So if I could use this thing while in the great outdoors, awesome. All right, what should we try first? Let's see if I'm able to bake at 350 degrees. Watching our watts out, 470, oh, we killed it. Looks like this Instapot is gonna be a bust. But what about a crock pot? Maybe I just wanna heat up some chili, have some slow cooking going while we're out enjoying the outdoors. Let's see if we can turn this on for any period of time without overloading our system. And let's start on a lower setting just to see. So if I go to low, we are pulling 177 watts. Not too bad, but what if I go to high? Even on high, I'm still only pulling 176. Now I can only run this crock pot for an hour and a half, which means I'm not gonna realistically be able to slow cook anything. But I would be able to heat up a can of chili or maybe some nacho cheese or something like that. So crock pot, a maybe. Now say you're trying to stay toasty. It's a long cold night and you don't have much to keep you warm inside your tent. Maybe you could bring this little inexpensive space heater to keep your tent warm. Let's see if this is going to be able to run on this Summit solar generator or if it's just going to be too much of a load. Typically, heaters pull a lot of heat, but I'm wondering if something possibly this size might work, even for just a short period of time. All right, let's see if we can run this little heater. Nope, killed the inverter. Now the space heater was a fail, but another way that you can much more efficiently heat yourself, maybe over a cold night of camping, is with a heating blanket. I have this DC powered one. You see it has this DC power plug. Let's see how much power this pulls off the inverter. See if we could realistically run this through a night. All right, heating blanket plugged in. We're only at 52 watts. Now you see that we have a runtime of 5 hours and 38 minutes on our given battery. That's not quite enough to get you through a full night, but if you had a full battery, absolutely, that would last you. So you could run this heating blanket inside your sleep system, your sleep bag, whatever, and it will keep you nice and toasty all night. I just noticed this actually has a high and a low setting on this heating blanket, and when I have it on low, I'm only pulling 40 watts, giving me 8.5 hours. So I could definitely run it on low all night without killing my battery. Awesome. Now for our final test, I want to see how well it runs one of these small fans. Now, I'm positive that it can at least spin the fan for a period of time, but I'm wondering for just how long. You know, something like this can be a godsend when you're camping out in high heat or when you got a lot of bugs. Having a little bit of air moving across the table will help keep bugs off of your food and other things. So being able to run a fan like this might be a huge benefit to you in the outdoors. So let's see just how long we can run something like this for. All right, we got it plugged in. And let's run it on low first. See what low does for us. All right, I've got my fan on low and I'm only pulling 17 watts. Even below a half battery, I've got 11 hours I can be running this fan. Now let's see if we turn this thing up to medium. Now we're looking at 18, 19 watts. Minor difference. Still over 11 hours of runtime. What if I turn it up to high? Still only peaking out at 21 watts. Give me 10 hours of runtime. So if you're the type of person that likes sleeping with a fan, that is totally possible with one of these Summit solar generators. It'll keep this fan running all night long without waking up to a dead battery. Fan's a win. All right, that concludes our test. This stuff on the right, all the things that either failed or didn't run well on the solar generator, and all these things on your left are all the things this is going to be able to power with no problem. And honestly, all these things here on your left are the things that are most important to me to be able to run in the outdoors. If I can pump up my bed, keep my chainsaw running, have a fan when it gets too hot, have a blanket that's heated when it gets too cold, run my small electronics, my filming equipment, I'm going to be golden. So really, this Summit solar generator is going to be able to do everything that I need it to do. Now, some people might have a higher demand than I do. If you want to be able to run power tools, things like that, you're going to need something probably rated at 1,000 watts or higher to be able to comfortably run them, especially for a prolonged period of time. Honestly, the heating elements in the space heater and the hair dryer, they just demand so much power. And also this Instapot. They require so much power that it's just gonna overload this, and even if it does power it, it's gonna kill your battery in a very short period of time. So they're not very realistic to use in a remote situation. As to all these things, they're gonna work great for you. So as far as this Summit solar generator goes, I give it a thumbs up. It's gonna do everything, like I said, that I need, and at the price point of $579 to include the solar generator and the panels so that I can recharge this remotely, I find that to be an incredible offering. So if that's something you're interested in, check out our affiliate link below. We'll get a little bit of a kickback from Lion Energy for you making that purchase, but just helps promote our channel, help us to continue to do reviews just like this. This is something I highly enjoy doing. I love testing out these things to see just how well they're gonna serve the general public, and I can let you know how they do. So if this is something you like, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with friends, let other people know just how cool we are, just so we can get noticed, we can get out there, and we can make these review videos a little bit more cost effective for us. So until next time, this has been Jake with Pantry Preparedness.